Welcome back, everybody. Today is episode 19 of the Weebology Podcast. How the fudge you doing, y'all?
I'm doing really good today. I'm coming off of a rough week, but next week is looking smooth sailing. So I got a lot more of a lot of downtime. So it's gonna be nice. I can catch up on a lot of animes. I can watch a lot of new shows I have yet to touch this season. So it's looking like a good week of anime for me. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Dude, stoked on that. That's pretty cool.
Why did you say y'all? There's only 2 people on this podcast.
Oh, when did you? Whoa,
you're
Pat,
right.
when did
so
you get
moving
here?
on. What are we talking about today, Rick? Just kidding. No, today we've got Patbot, back on the podcast for his second real appearance, IRL time, and third appearance, Weebology time.
Beep boop, here's the scoop. Thanks for having me back, boys.
Hey, no problem there, Patty.
Anytime.
So before we get started, let me just cut in.
Okay.
I would like to introduce a new segment
Sorry,
to your
this is our podcast.
Okay, well, I would like to introduce a new segment.
For us?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm introducing a new segment to your podcast. And boys,
You may proceed.
you always brag about being professors.
Uh-oh.
No.
And let me say, professors are also open to criticism.
Oh no.
So we're going to do the new segment that I call Pop Quiz.
Oh no.
Pop Quiz is going to be some questions based on the Weebology podcast and see if y'all know your stuff. Whoever wins is going to be able to, and I know maybe this isn't the biggest prize in the world, but I think it would be. You can have one recommendation. It goes right to the top of my queue, and what I would imagine is the other person's queue as well. So like the next thing they watch.
I love this. Ethan, you're going down. I don't know how else to say it. There's no really two ways about it.
Anyway, continue.
All right.
And I'll just win.
So here's the deal. Whoever has more points at the end wins. There are going to be questions aimed at either of you and both of you. So I'll preface with either Ethan or Rick, and then following the question, or I'll say both of you, and that's how you know which one you can answer. Please don't talk over each other because I do not have that many questions.
Okay.
All right, so number 1, Rick.
Yes, sir.
In episode 10 on July 29th, when discussing Hunter x Hunter's Uvogin, you referenced him as Unova. Who, what, where, when, or why is Unova?
Oh no. So what was I actually referencing?
Yeah, what were you actually referencing?
Unova.
I know the answer.
Do you really?
Yeah, this is why I'm saying
course.
I'm only asking Rick this one.
Unova. Is that a One Piece character?
No. Wrong.
Should I answer?
Yeah, Ethan.
I'm not sure if we should allow. Should we allow gimme points?
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
Ethan can steal.
All right,
Ethan can steal.
No, I'm not going to steal. I'm just going to answer it.
Okay.
So no points to anybody.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Unova is a region of Pokemon.
It's a
That's
region
it.
of
Of
Pokemon.
course.
That's
oh
right.
my gosh.
And I thought it was funny when you're talking about Unova the
Yeah.
whole time, and then Ethan
Oh
says,
my
"Do you mean
gosh.
Eugene?" Yeah. So, next question, Ethan.
Yeah, dude.
In the Amazon Prime recommendations episode,
Sure.
episode 9 on July 22nd, you brought up Blue Exorcist
Uh-huh.
that you rated pretty highly and had a pretty humorous description of. Who is the brother of main character Rin Okamura?
I believe his name is Yuki or something of that nature.
Rick, do we give partial credit, or should we give him another shot?
Yukino?
Another
It's
shot.
Yuki something.
Yeah.
His nickname is Yuki.
His name is Yukio, so I'm going to give it to you because his nickname is Yuki.
I win.
Ding, ding, ding. So that's 1.
That's a +1 from
That's +1. So
for
right
the
now
boy.
it's Ethan 1, Rick 0.
This is bad because I knew Unova is a region.
That's okay.
I was like, shit, wait, hold on a second.
That's the point of this. It's
I don't know,
okay.
man. The tape doesn't lie. You
It
didn't know
doesn't.
the answer.
I didn't know the answer. Oh,
All right,
that's
so-
shaming of me.
This one is directed at both of you. In
Wait,
episode,
how are we going to decide who gets the answer?
whoever answers first.
First,
Maybe we should just
it's
raise
on.
our hand.
No, it's on.
I'm going to say
What, are we
whoever
going
answers
to yell
first.
over each other?
Yes.
If you happen to both look, whoever answers first, say, whoever answers first.
Yeah, who cares?
So on episode 14,
Okay.
one of the episodes in which I guest starred,
You're aware that that has not come out yet. As to...
it will by the time this episode comes out.
You're right. All right, let's do it.
So in episode 14, we reviewed a movie called Dark Cat.
Correct.
Do you remember the name of the character with the black hair that was a werecat?
No.
No, but I remember it's called Black Cat.
It's called Dark Cat.
Is it Dark Cat or Black
It's
Cat?
Dark Cat.
Oh no,
Dark Cats.
Dark Cats.
It might be.
Wait, do you remember his name?
I had to look it up,
So the answer is no.
The answer is no.
but I know now.
What was his name?
It was Hiei and Ryoi.
Oh yeah,
very hard to say names.
Stupid names.
What a weird set of names.
So we're on our final question now.
No offense, folks, but the second we stopped watching that movie, I forgot everything.
I had to dump it all out of my brain. Do you think I got space in my brain for something that bad? I don't care if Leonardo DiCaprio was in there.
Okay, that's totally fine. So now we are up to our final question. Ethan has 1 point. Reggie has 0. This is going to be another all-play question.
Oh, no.
Whoever wins this one, it could either be a tiebreak, and I'll have to come up with a new question, or Ethan would win if he gets this question right.
Okay.
So, boys, directed at both of you. From episode 8, who was the subject of the over-under?
8? That was
episode
Izuku
8.
Midoriya.
Main characters we can't stand.
Izuku Midoriya.
Ethan's correct.
Oh, no.
So Ethan has 2, Rick has 0. Ethan reigns supreme.
This is not my day.
Ethan, do you have a recommendation as your prize?
You get to, no.
I'm gonna stew on it.
Yeah, by the end of the episode.
Whoa, what the fuck?
If you can.
Oh my god.
You realize that you can make him watch anything,
So
right?
that's like the idea. It's like whenever you recommend something, they're like, yeah, I'll add it to my list. But I think it's actually a pretty interesting thing to say. No, this is going at the top of your list this time, bub.
Whatever you say, he has to watch next.
I mean, under 50
Within
episodes.
Reason, I understand.
Right.
Man, I wish I won because I had one instantly that we could.
Yeah. Oh, Naruto.
Get cracking.
Right.
I don't have one off the top of my head, so
I have like 4. I have like 4.
Well, sorry.
Oh, this is such a sad day. Okay. That was actually super fun.
Well, that was my pop quiz. You understand why I couldn't tell you about it beforehand.
Yeah, so we could go back and listen to all of our episodes and be like, aha.
Yeah, I didn't want you guys to study up. Then it's not a pop
It was
quiz.
unnecessary for me to study, folks.
Oh,
apparently that's true. He got all his questions right.
It was very, very necessary for me to study. So it's good. It was a pop quiz for us. So I would have been maybe a little more prepared. So after that appetizer, delicious as it was, our main course today, power systems. What makes for a good one? Who has good ones and who has not so great despite the show's overall quality? So, thoughts. Power systems. What do you think is a good aspect to a power system? What makes it cool, compelling to y'all?
Any quality about an end.
No, I think a power system that has, established rules that seem to make sense for the most part. With you can have exceptions to rules, or you can have the freak of nature type people out there, right?
Right.
But as long as they're relatively following the rules, it seems like they give you a reason why people are getting stronger. Like if it's just, for instance, Naruto's chakra system.
Okay.
Everyone has access to chakra. It's just whether you are trained in it and what your affinity is, right?
Yeah, because that's what separates ninjas from everybody else is the fact that they can mold it, but everyone has it. They can actually kind of pull it out and use it in a meaningful fashion.
Right, and then, Naruto's ass pull is just that he has this freaking little demon fox inside of him, right? So,
yeah,
his exception makes sense in the light of the rest of the story.
Right. So, I mean, Pat, what do you think? What do you think about Naruto? Because it is one of the, in terms of superpowers shown in anime, could be up there as one of the most recognizable. And the power system has expansive lore behind it and the mechanics. So, what do you think about Naruto's power system?
Well, I think that where Naruto shines is that they at least try to fully explain where it even comes from. These people have chakra glands practically.
Yeah, you mentioned it yesterday. That was cool.
Yeah, chakra nodes throughout the body.
They're not really called chakra glands. They're called chakra points, right? And they have they have the body where normally your chakra flows, and it's based on actual, old Eastern medicine, right? Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to get us off track, but I would actually compare what I believe Naruto to be a really good power system that's clearly defined, except for the exceptions to the rules, Rock Lee can't use chakra for whatever reason. Then there's Naruto, who has limitless, right? But then I would compare it actually to a really poor power system, which is going to sound weird coming from me, but I think JoJo is one of the worst power systems imaginable.
Oh yeah,
it's just kind of whatever I want it to be is my power.
Yeah, so for you, it's more, the tighter the rules, the
I
better
love
the power
rules
system.
because if you know rules, then you know what to expect. It's like imagine a character shooting a character and then the bullet just goes around him and hits him in the back. You would be like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I
You
just
expect
think
it to behave a
protects
certain
against
way.
like insane ass pulls, right?
Yeah.
If you have some sort of rule, you can have like certain exceptions to the rule, but as long as that's the same every time, I think it's fine. I think if you're like, all of a sudden now I've got this power that I never told anyone that I was doing, training for or anything like that.
Right.
All of a sudden,
Yes. So
I can use Starfinger from across the room and
Well,
kill
hey,
whatever I want.
You can say Starfinger all you want, but all three of us have seen Bleach. And in Bleach, that almost word for word happens in the Aizen fight.
Yeah.
Where Ichigo decides that he's going to gain 50 power levels in a day.
And I think here's the thing. I was
you
thinking
don't
about.
understand, man. That was his final Getsuga Tensho.
Getsuko Tensho, and he has like 10 more after his final one, so sure.
So I was thinking about like tightly written power systems. I think exceptions to a power system, like characters that are the exception and just go above and beyond it, it's a double-edged sword with tightly wound power systems, because it's the rules, subverting those rules in a clever way is very satisfying to see. But it's more or less, it can feel like, I think that's where ass pulls come in, is that these rules have been set and an exception to the rules has no basis at all in that rule set at all. And I was thinking about Asta from Black Clover. I can't tell if his power is an ass pull or not.
I wouldn't say it is.
I mean, he is basically like, he's not an exception. He doesn't have magic.
Can you fill in the listeners that don't know and me about
Sure.
what
So
what
yeah,
makes him an
in
exception?
Black Clover, the power system is more or less magic and mana. So everyone has a set amount of mana. Some people, like nobility, have a higher stock of it, and they can kind of use magic, but they have grimoires which act as a conduit to said magic.
And you have affinities just like Naruto, except it's a lot more of them. Like,
Yeah.
you can have Mercury as your affinity.
Right.
And then all your magic is related to Mercury.
Yeah.
You can have light magic, dark magic, blah, 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 blah.
So for me, I think Julius was a better exception to the rules already set. Julius could use time magic, and he also
sick.
had a boundless grimoire. So it's just this rotating cylinder of pages. He is an exception, but he still plays within the rule set. He kind of subverts what we expect grimoires to be. But Asta is so outside of any kind of magic at all. He kind of, I can't tell. I'm on the fence whether it feels ass pull or not.
I don't know. That sounds bad to me if he's not following the rules that everyone else follows.
So he basically has the ability to use swords that just cut through all magic. They're anti-magic.
Okay.
Right. So
He's the only one that can do that?
Yeah. So as someone who hasn't watched it, how do you react as a first impression to that?
Well, I don't think you're explaining it well.
It sounds
Okay, then
silly.
Ethan, go
Well,
ahead.
I think you're like basically burying Asta under like, you're obviously a piece of shit ass pull.
No, I'm saying I'm on the fence about it.
Well, hold on,
But I
because
think
like
the way
I'm
you explained it is saying that.
Well, how would you explain it to Pat?
Well, I don't think he's outside the system. I think so. The rest of the world has magic, and he was born without magic.
okay. That's a limiter. I
They're
guess.
basically using him as a plot device for the rest of the story to continue. There's something else going on that we don't know yet in the anime.
That is also very true. There's a lot. It's not been fleshed out yet, so it's hard to come at it like definitively. Is this ass pull or not?
If anyone, I'd say is an ass pull.
Yeah. Oh,
This four-leaf clover idiot just all of a sudden has like insane power.
Yeah, and I think they kind of defined that all four-leaf clover grimoire users are above and away better than anybody else. They've already established that with the first Wizard King.
Yeah, I know. It's just
I'm
I
not
personally
knocking
don't think Asta is an ass pull, other than
I can go
he's a
either way.
plot device.
So
Right.
I would say I think I might be siding with Ethan just based on my limited data, because like earlier I think we were discussing this and you all called it a better fairy tale, and in fairy tale I think Natsu is like one of the most unforgivable main characters ever.
I'll go into that. What makes him unforgivable in terms of a power system? I
It's
guess?
not that he's outside the power system, it's that whenever he wants to, he can eat magic and just win. In every
Right.
every fight. Every single fight, they just wait until Natsu's ready to win, and then he wins. It's bizarre.
That's actually kinda true.
It's really strange. I totally agree with you. His eating of magic thing is like way out
absolutely
of control.
bonkers.
So
and he does it every single time.
So Natsu is this fire dragon slayer, which is
right. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so he basically has the power of a fire dragon in this show. And his ability is if he eats fire, he basically like replenishes some of his mana and stuff like that.
And there's also some fights where he says, "Oh, now I can go beyond my normal limits because I've eaten so much fire," and it gets so silly.
But he like occasionally will just like start eating lightning, or he'll start eating, you know,
exactly.
and so
because every other dragon in the world, like I'm thinking of like what's his name, Gajeel,
yeah,
the steel guy can only eat steel. But the Nazi's like, I can do that too. It's so weird.
So you are not far enough in Fairy Tail to really understand why that is.
I finished the first series. That's a lot.
I know, my guy, but it really changes a lot in the second series.
I'll just take your word for it.
Right. So as someone who has seen more of it, does Natsu still feel this way? Even
he's an asshole, but like think about it, like, you know, Naruto has limitless chakra regardless of Kurama because he's an Uzumaki.
Right. I thought that was dumb too.
Well, that's exactly what it is for Natsu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And do you feel that that's basically it was predefined? So that's actually a good question. Does predefining and kind of setting up an exception still make it feel like an asshole? And if so, why?
See, I think it is, but it doesn't hurt as
That's a
bad.
great question.
Yeah, because it's already been okay. Uzumakis are known for having super ridiculous high chakra count and just being like unbreakable bodies. Like they're super resilient. Does saying that and then later, oh wait, Naruto's an Uzumaki. Haha, another
Right.
power up for this guy, kind of a passive power up. Yeah, you're right. It still feels like an asshole despite
But
the
I
setup.
think it's easier pill to swallow because they've set up that attribute for his clan the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like his mom was known for her like deep pools of chakra,
Right.
and also Nagato.
Mito and Nagato,
Yeah.
all those like massive, you know, figures in the Naruto
Yeah.
universe have exhibited
And wasn't Karin
massive amounts of chakra.
Karin, yeah.
Karin was also
Karin was also
Uzumaki.
crazy.
She was just like like she had this awesome passive sensory type.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I mean, I think it wasn't just like Naruto and only Naruto had this passive familial buff. It was they had other characters that took advantage of that clan, which kind of dampened the blow, right?
Well, I actually wanted to ask, based on because I thought that was a good question, does explaining it make it okay?
Right.
Because this is kind of the argument that I've had with other people, and kind of when I'm watching a show, like with myself, like if I'm considering to continue watching it, is like, if I don't like something and they explain it, like you have to keep in mind, it was still written that way, even if there's a reason. Like
Right.
the one I think about is like all those like pervy anime, right? Let's say there's an anime where like, Punchline is a great example. If you've ever seen that, the main character gets his power from seeing panties.
Oh, that show.
Once he sees panties, he gets unlimited power, and if he ever sees them again, the world ends. It's like hilarious. It's obviously a satire of like those, you know, pervy anime, but the way I see it, a lot of them do treat that pretty seriously. Like, oh, she has to be, I don't want to go back to it, but she has to be 600, but she looks 5. And like, it was written that way.
Yeah.
But I think in that same line, he has to be overpowered because he's an Uzumaki. It was still written that way. You know, like, it's almost explaining why he's overpowered, but you still started with, my main character is going to be overpowered.
And I think
Yeah, but I think if you can't have a main character that actually sucks by the end of the show, you know?
I think you can.
I don't think I've seen a single show where the main character is shitty as hell at the end of the show.
Bleach at least did it after a major arc.
What was that?
Bleach did it. Ichigo was
Oh,
powerless for 17 months after he fought Aizen.
Right.
And for all intents and purposes, if it ended after Aizen, I think that would have been a really potent ending. Like
I agree, because
he started as a human, he ended as a normal
could have
human.
returned back to humanity.
And then, hey guy, you want some of this sweet Fullbring?
Yeah, and he
Said
said, of
Jinjo
course.
in the alley, like, hey kid, you want to try some of this Fullbring?
And then he says,
Do you
can I
want
get my
some
powers
death sticks?
back?
You want some death sticks? I got some death sticks for you.
Like, not only can you get your powers back, but you're going to be much stronger than you ever were before. And he's like, oh, that sounds fair. Cool.
I actually love, so that actually goes into...
But I will say, so
yeah.
you said Bleach had some of a crappy system,
I think it's awful.
but I think there were some really cool things about that power system too. Like, for
Okay.
instance, when captains came to the real world, they were limited for their spiritual pressure.
I think Soul Society is great. I love
think-
the Soul
right.
Reapers.
What I think is individual groups there are really well done in terms
Yes.
of power system.
Agreed.
But obviously Ichigo being the intersection of every possible thing.
You know, I think
was
you're right.
bad.
I think it's just Ichigo that sours it for me.
Yeah,
I think everything else is really
Let's
good.
be real.
Because he was I think it's an interesting, intersection. They just happened to get. There didn't seem like there's any outside force that Ichigo didn't either already have within him.
Yes,
he had them all. Hollows, Quincy, Shinigami. They're all residing. He had some capacity to play on each of their levels, but by odd storytelling, it felt cheap. It felt cheap, you know.
Yeah.
But to the explanation thing, I think early explanation of a power system and not too many additions lend to cool exceptions to the rules.
I don't know, man. I think, so just to be clear to the listeners, I think Hunter x Hunter has like a borderline perfect explanation of their power system. With, they spend like 3 or 4 episodes just like with the cups and saying like, what kind of nen do I have? How do I shape it to my will? But they do that like, I want to say like a third into the show. Like it takes forever for them to explain what they're actually doing. But I still think it was all really obviously planned and very tight rules of what each character can and can't do.
Right.
Even if it's weird stuff, like the guy who has a roulette kite.
Yeah.
Like his roulette only has 9 options, like, and he can't ever change those, even if it's like really strong and all that.
So that kind of gets into like one of the, I think for me, the main thing that makes me compelled for a power system is the dynamic between risk and reward, risk and power. Nen is perfect in that regard. The more risk or restrictions you have, the more powerful you can be. It's almost as if you're focusing like a beam.
Absolutely.
Other shows do this too. I think early My Hero Academia did this with Midoriya.
What?
Well, he has all for one's strength, but his body literally breaks if he uses it. Risk, reward. He can punch like the number 1 hero of all time once, early on. And we talk about that in Over Under in episode 8, as you learned earlier.
So astutely have
main characters we can't stand.
Yeah.
So your boy knew that right off the top of his head, though.
He did. I didn't even say the title of the episode, and he knew.
So that's a question, I think. Would you rather see a power system where someone can just willy-nilly just go crazy and just have all this power with no risk, or this like powers that are very, very risky to use, or side effects, And I like the idea that, I can one-shot this person, but I might die, essentially.
I wish it was just a system where everyone's fully fleshed out, and then you have to basically, like for instance, the fight with Meruem and Netero is a big chess match, essentially, because they're both insanely strong, and they are per the story, so it's not like they're both getting ass pulled or anything like that.
Right.
So they were set up as like the pinnacles of creation, and then Netero's seemingly impossible to beat nen ability is still challenged because the other guy's attributes are out of this world too. Right. So something that could be an ass pull to anyone, like honestly, if Netero fought anyone else,
stomps.
Yeah.
Right.
Essentially.
Untouched.
Except for Nanika, but yeah, go on.
Nanika
would probably win.
Well, yeah, because you just say, kill him, K.
I wish you weren't alive, K.
Yeah.
But yeah, so examples of good power systems. What shows for you guys are like we've already got Hunter x Hunter, obviously, but exemplary power systems.
I like Nen.
Nen's good.
Besides Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, Nen's awesome.
No, I mean,
Nen's great.
Naruto, Hunter x Hunter are both probably the top for me. Maybe Avatar. Avatar does I don't know if it counts as an anime, but Avatar does a great job of explaining like what exactly.
Stay tuned for that episode.
People can
That's
do.
Definitely a discussion. But yeah, that one's great too because the exceptions feel real. They feel like
lightning.
It feels like an extension.
Yes,
not an exception.
It's an advancement. It's not. It's not. I'm special. It's I tried harder.
What about Devil Fruits?
I think Devil Fruits are. Well, it's hard because I think that One Piece is so tight in and of itself. Like, it's so good at keeping up with like every character and where they are in the world, even at arcs where they're not relevant anymore. It's crazy. And I'm only saying that because some of the listeners might not have tackled the behemoth that is One Piece, and I think that Rick hasn't either. But in each arc, sometimes they'll give you little flashes of people from previous arcs that are no longer relevant, and they're like, "Oh, this is what we're doing while you're doing that." It's so crazy how they keep track of every character. But as far as the powers go, everyone gets kind of the same drawback. If you take a devil fruit, you can't swim because the sea rejects you from now on.
Right.
And I don't think that's a huge downside for a lot of the powers because like some of them are like Luffy. you learn in the first few episodes, you're like, wow, this is so cool. But then like in the later ones, you learn Luffy got screwed. He has like one of the weakest fruits by far.
Interesting.
There's people that can turn into flames, like that's insane.
But I think as we go farther into the show, it seems like it matters less and less like what your fruit was and it ends up being what you end up thinking about doing with your fruit.
So Luffy, I think, is one of the few characters who does that, though. Who actually...
Dofi?
One of the few. So there's others.
I guess Dofi. Dofi, for sure. Dofi... Okay, I'd say that Doflamingo really does get really creative with his power, so I take that back.
All I'm saying is, it seems like every fruit has the ability to do insane shit. You just have to use your head and, like, make it happen.
I guess that makes sense.
Because I
talk about One Piece forever, but...
There's 3 types of fruits. Logia... Zoa,
the Zoan,
which is like animal types, and then Paramecia, which can be anything basically, except for you don't turn your body into an element, which is what Logia is.
So to explain for Ricky and listeners who don't listen, again, who don't watch One Piece.
Educate me, guest lecturer.
Well, it's not that. It's just, I don't want you to feel lost in this conversation.
I've known enough a little bit about it.
Like, let's say you're fighting a Logia, and they're the ones that can change their form.
Yes.
And like, let's say I can turn to fire, which like Ace is Luffy's brother, and he can turn to fire. And if you hit him and he turns into fire, you get burned and it doesn't hurt him. And you have to use this thing called Haki, which is this super focused concentration, kind of like covering your fist in Nen a little bit.
That's a perfect segue, because I was going to go into the idea of shows and power systems that suddenly add major components.
So I would say it's like I would say Haki alone makes the fruits a tight system, because it makes the strongest fighters able to combat these wildly powerful fruit users,
even regardless of not having the fruit.
Exactly. Like I think Zoro has Haki from like day one.
Right.
He's the swordsman, and he can stand toe to toe with these people that are turning into phoenixes. It's unreal.
So,
and the guy that raises the dead, it's crazy.
You're saying that the whole devil fruit concept, the power system of One Piece, went from a little loose to iffy to tight thanks to Haki.
I think Haki made it all not on like I think you phrased it well. It went from a pretty loose kind of ass pull system, and then once Haki was introduced, everyone became mortal. It was really cool.
Yeah, because at first it was you just got a better fruit, so I'm screwed, and now it's any dude off the street, if he trains hard enough, can learn Haki and then can actually scrap with the best of them.
Right.
One of the first fights has a crocodile of the sand who is kind of just imagine Gaara, right? Mm-hmm. But like imagine Gaara, if Gaara like really used it, he can become like a sand typhoon and like make a huge sandstorm and stuff. And the first 2 fights.
Sand coffin.
No, he doesn't use sand coffin.
Yeah.
But the first 2 fights, Luffy we could talk later, but this is a BS fight. But Luffy dies twice practically, and the third time he comes in, he has to like really think like, how do I hit this guy? He's sand,
Right.
And you felt in those fights, you're like, Crocodile's immortal. I don't know why you're fighting him. And then later on, you have these people who are way stronger than Crocodile, and you can feel like they go toe to toe because of Haki. Mm-hmm. So I think that Haki made a BS system a really cool one.
Yeah, and I think the addition of powers in some cases, more often than not, something as big as Haki in other shows tend to lend to muddying the waters. And Naruto seems to be the standard of people talking about power systems. I think when we were talking about this yesterday, when the series started with Naruto, and by the end of only Naruto, not Shippuden, you had a really, really tight power system. You had the 5 elements. You had a few others that were exceptions, but they're still played within the yin and yang release of chakra. And you had the tailed beasts, and you knew about them. And you had the 3 schools of chakra utilization.
Yes, the
Ninjutsu,
history.
Genjutsu, and Taijutsu. And some people played into those strengths. I think, and still kind of think, that adding Sage Jutsu was muddying the waters.
You think that was a mistake?
I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was added, and I think there was some basis up to that point for that. But the real ass pull, I think, for the Uchihas was the Susanoo.
Well, slow down. Yesterday, you actually said something super interesting about how you felt after the first part of the show, that you felt like Genjutsu just kind of gets completely outpowered.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, is that when you add more stuff, there's only so much you can do without losing track. So you kind of, like, Kishimoto just kind of had to scrap some stuff. He had some very powerful Genjutsu users later, but they're always played with either Uchiha or like the second Mizukage with the big old clam. He was he was like that. So
yeah, the water pistol guy.
But the problem is Genjutsu was still as strong at the end of the show as it was in the beginning. It just seemed like Kishimoto forgot about it.
I feel like Naruto still would have fallen under Genjutsu if he met eyes with Itachi. It's just that Itachi never tried again.
Well, no. So he's actually immune because Kurama can wake him up.
That's right.
So yeah, so essentially everyone.
Those are only the guys with tailed beasts are not susceptible.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone else, maybe not any Uchiha, is susceptible to Genjutsu, and they just seem to like not use it.
I think it's called all the major players were already working with the powers that were way later, like EMSs and Renegons and Bijus, and anyone who was still a major player was essentially immune. And so everyone just kind of stopped like, well, I can do this. I'm just not going to anymore. Because you just kind of have to brush it away when you just keep having counter powers. Something's going to fall away, you know? But yeah, like I was saying before, also my personal thing, the Susanoo for the Uchihas was the biggest.
How do you think that messes up everything else? Just because it's such a power jump?
Yeah, and it just kind of made the Uchihas, and there's theories out there that Kishimoto only meant for that to be a Itachi exclusive Mangekyo power.
Because he killed his friend.
Because anyone with a Mangekyo, you would have specialized powers per person.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Itachi's was just to have that, but then there had to be a counter, and basically, okay, let's give it to Sasuke, they're brothers. Oh, well then, Madara's going to get one, and then Obito gets one. Well, Obito really never used one, but their eyes together did generate one in Kakashi, which, that's not even worth the discussion. But, it just isn't. So I mean, adding these major powers to a already established power system is a real kind of make or break move. Haki is a make. A lot of the things that Kishimoto add felt a little bit like a break.
Interesting.
I don't know.
What do you feel about like substitution jutsu then? Because like I feel like that
didn't mind Susanoo really at all because they found creative ways of getting around it. Like they had Gaara go up from inside Susanoo, grab his leg, and throw him out.
That was cool.
They had Tsunade just go up and just crack the shit out of it with a fist.
That was rad.
So they made it wasn't like it was like, oh, Susanoo's out, everyone's dead.
Madara's was
but remember, like we've said in other episodes, like power scaling at that point was just gone.
Right.
Where, any normal Jonin is complete fodder to them now.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like that's a Kishimoto problem. That's not really a power system problem.
Yeah, but I think the system can allude to how high it can scale. Back to Black Clover, something I think is incredible. Asta is the ceiling. He's naturally the ceiling. Because anyone else who has magic can't go up against him.
Yeah, so he has Haki all the time.
Don't agree.
What do you mean? Like, I mean, he has the...
So he's never lost a fight?
That's not what I'm saying. So I'm saying in the presence of any magic head on, like if were to blast him with that spirit assimilation magic, that insane thing he pulled in the tournament, Asta could theoretically cut through it. It by design is magic, and him by definition cuts through magic.
Unless it's faster than him or...
Right. But that's all I'm saying is like there are other ways in the battle, but he's technically the ceiling, I think. I don't agree, but go ahead and move on with your point. So that's what I'm saying. The system is not necessarily how the final factor in how fights end up. Someone can have stronger magic, but be a worse fighter.
Yes.
That says nothing about the power system. That says something about the character.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I agree.
I'm thinking that in terms of what's the highest form of what's the strongest thing? They can cut through any magic, but someone with better experience in battle prowess could get the best on and has gotten the best on Asta, but it's how he uses that ceiling.
I mean, what makes a good power system, and I think just culminating everything we've said so far, seems to be a system that it doesn't matter what your attribute is or whatever, you can still beat anyone if you trained harder or you had cooler uses of your magic. Same with Nin. Realistically, there's quite a few of these Nin abilities that are like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Right.
But they've made it in such a way that if you just train harder or give yourself more restrictions, you can overcome anything that, naturally happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a really good point. So your philosophy on it is that a good power system alludes itself to character influence on how it's used.
Well, I mean, think about Naruto in the beginning of the show. He has only Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Right.
But
which at that point was overpowered. Mm-hmm. Remember?
No, he was getting his shit rocked really early.
But the multi-Shadow Clone
when he
Jutsu
finds the
wasn't
scroll.
a forbidden scroll. Like, it was a scroll that was not allowed to be read.
Which never comes up again, of course.
Right. The second Hokage literally sealed it away and said, yeah, no.
Somehow everyone else has Kage Bushin no Jutsu. It seems like everyone could use Shadow Clone Jutsu.
They can do Shadow Clone, not multi-Shadow Clone.
I think, because he makes like 40.
There's too much split.
And also, people don't have enough chakra for it anyway.
Right.
So I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
His relatively weak ability of just like creating more of himself compared to like Fireball Jutsu, right? In the beginning.
Is a fireball. Right.
Is his like way of using his relatively weak thing to become relatively strong. And you look at My Hero Academia with that little purple squishy ball guy.
Oh, yeah, Diaper Boy.
Or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, Diaper Boy.
Whatever his name is.
I can't stand him.
Right, but his power sucks balls, literally.
That's the kickback moment of the day.
He can use it in a way that ends up not being stupid. You know what I mean? It's like the way you use it. And Dofi with his strings seems like a really dorky, devil fruit. And he's
Dofi's
one of the strongest characters
insane.
in the entire, universe.
Yeah, I don't know. So I was thinking about like, compared to like what Ricky said about how, like when you kind of forget, right? And I think Ethan agreed. I'm kind of on the fence because do you remember the beginning of the show when substitution jutsu was like the most broken thing that you could do?
Yeah.
It's like the insta dodge move.
Because you put all of your strength into one attack and then it doesn't matter.
Right.
I noticed that like later on people are substituting like constantly, and it used to seem like, if you remember the Demon of the Mist, I forgot his name. Zabuza, thank you.
Yeah.
In the Zabuza fight, I think that they use substitution, and Sasuke is like heartbroken because he didn't get his target.
Yeah.
And like I just don't see where that went, right? Like I don't because I don't think there's this insane power scaling at that point.
Yeah.
Is it literally just forgetting?
I think that's actually no. I think that's a matter of power scaling because it just scaled out of the way. Why dodge it when you can tank it? I guess. Yeah, so that's what it is. A good system, if you're gonna achieve power that is like way super high and it's gonna scale, and don't incur a risk. Like Naruto and Sasuke don't incur a risk using their power. Sasuke maybe a little bit.
I think it's more like
Naruto
a
used to cut himself
situation.
with the Rasengan and all that. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he instantly ass pulls to save
being able to throw.
That solves his,
All of a sudden he can make 2.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I just think if you have that's like a reservoir problem, right? So in the beginning, it seems like you use a couple jutsus a day and you're pretty much done. And then by the end, it seems like their reservoirs are limitless.
True.
Kakashi is
exactly
Exhibit A, because in the first
uses
half,
Kamui once and he's like gone for weeks, and then at the end he can just
I think he did like eight
he was
Kamui, and then like
he's fighting Obito.
lightning cable or lightning cutter. It's insane. Like what happened there?
I think, in my impression was just that after the pain fight, chakra doesn't matter anymore. That was my impression, because in the pain fight, if you remember, like Naruto like has to literally bring out the 6 tails to win, and it's like borderline cheating.
Right, and that's actually you had a really good point in that fight. Chakra was such a conscious thing to remember that
that's
he
what I'm saying.
The 2 clones.
Yes,
he had 5-minute increments, and he only had 3 of them to get the job done.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the last time we saw him managing chakra, and then after that, not even just Naruto, other characters just spam attacks because it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
and they have gotten stronger, but it's like almost like nobody has chakra limits anymore.
That's a good point. I think a show really tips that has a reservoir concept, mana, chakra, ki.
Yeah.
That when it stops becoming a conscious thing, then it's tipped into like a scale problem.
But it's not the scale; it's also disrupting the power system. Because if you remember, like my favorite part of it was the chakra points in your body, and like part of that diagram is there's this like well in your stomach of like how much chakra you have, and apparently that can grow to any size. Like who knows?
Well, because Sakura and Tsunade's power, where they can just build up chakra in their little seal up on their forehead, becomes completely ridiculous.
Right. Because that's supposed to limit you.
Especially because Sakura literally says, "Oh, it's been taking me years to build this," and then in the final fight, she's like reloading it every couple of minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Her 100 healings.
I'm saying like chakra does not matter after pain. I think.
But I feel like if they don't establish something like that early, it doesn't bother me as bad. Because it's like, well, where the hell did that go?
Exactly. Yeah, so if you establish something and then just like, oh, we've already ditched it.
Like, Nen doesn't seem like there's necessarily a well. It's just like, how much better is yours than the other guys? Or,
right,
like,
and also, Nen was also, like, Netero is a great example, because Netero trained his whole life, and they go into, like, explicit detail of what Netero does to train, right?
Yes.
And his Nen is so powerful because he's worked on it for decades.
And he did one action.
And Gon has done, what, like 6 months, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because it was after like 2 years of gratitude punches, 10,000 a day, he then started to notice a difference because he was already at peak.
Exactly.
And everyone who comments and knows the full extent of his Nen and the way it's like it feels when they sense it, they can tell that he put himself nearly to the brink of insanity to get there. So he had some kind of sacrifice. He gave something to get that
that's
strong.
a good point. I never thought of that.
As a precursor. Yeah. He can only do that one move. Everyone noticed like his moves are pretty quick, but it's that one praying and punching motion that is otherworldly, and that's the one thing because it's the gratitude punches. So again, that's obvious, audience, students, children, that Nen is our favorite. Nen is probably one of the best power systems of all time. What is an example of a bad power system?
JoJo is the worst one I can think of.
Really?
It's literally how bad do I want to beat you, and even then, some people are just nerfed from the beginning. It's so unfair. Because you can talk about the one about like I want to use my bad power in a creative way. Like I'm thinking of like Little Feet in part 5. There's this guy that can shrink you, and it seems like a really worthless power. And then it is. I don't know.
And it still stayed that way.
Because they tried to use it creatively because he like puts them in like a sewer with rats, and you're like, okay, I guess the rats are gonna kill him, but like that's not his power. It's so lame.
I don't know if it's a hot take. I think Dragon Ball's power systems is bad.
I think it's awful.
I think it's not great.
I think it's you know.
I mean, so
that's it.
We're big Dragon Ball fans, but I can't tell if it's a scale problem or the lack of rigidity.
For reference, I haven't seen Z.
Oh, whoa.
I've only seen Dragon Ball.
Yeah, and I think
which was fighting.
It's a scale problem for sure.
And then what are you mad about on the power system?
Well, I've watched like fights, and it's always Goku almost dies, and then he tries really hard and wins.
That's kind of
literally the point.
That is the point. That is the point of Dragon Ball. I mean, it's all about that's the whole point. But I think what always kind of what started it for me was the Kaioken. You suddenly double your ki output. With your body is strained. There is a little bit of risk, and there is a part in Super where actually it's the first time I'm like, oh, okay. He tried with an insane amount of ki and then tried to 10 times it. And it worked for a second, and then he couldn't fly. He couldn't do instant transmission anymore. And
what do you have to do for Kaioken?
So basically, it's a technique that he learned from the
heaven
King Kai or North Kai, or whatever that is. And he it's a technique that is kind of dangerous, where you can double all your physical attributes in fighting and your ki output, but on tremendous strain to your body.
Okay.
It's essentially you invoke it. It's an invocation, and it will, no matter what power level you're at the moment, it will multiply out. So that for me is like, what's the system of ki? What is ki then? If your body has a set capacity of it, I'm out of energy. Kaioken times 3. Oh, I suddenly have 3 times as I did before. I guess it just made it so loose that there's no really grasping ki, you know? It just is. You have it. And power levels are gone, you know?
I don't know. I think when power levels left, then it got, it was a power scaling issue. Mm-hmm. But through Kaioken in the early days, I had no problems because he was very, very fatigued after he used it.
Okay.
That's a good point.
He was nearly dead every time.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, he would. That's what I'm saying. But I guess for me, it's just
and he died a lot of times. So
he did die a lot of times.
Like there was risk for him.
Is it? He's come back though. Like, is it a risk? he just kind of gets out of commission for a few months.
Yeah, but he missed his kid's whole childhood.
He did do that.
Oh, is it a long time?
Well,
there's quite a few times where he's gone for 10 years or longer.
Oh, wow.
He was gone for a long time because he sacrificed himself in vain to save basically a detonating villain. So
I think y'all talked about this in episode 1, so I don't want to make you repeat yourself.
Oh, it's fine. That's also what I'm saying. Is like,
Oh, yeah, that was who's a better father.
Yeah.
About Goku leaving.
Right. So, I mean, some power systems they just don't feel satisfying at all.
So what about, I'm kind of on the fence about My Hero Academia.
Tell me about that.
Because you're right that they make characters use it creative ways, but I almost feel like it's done out of obligation. Like everyone has their little I'm useful scene. Like the girl that can make stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think she needed one because her power is so overpoweredly insane. Like she can just make grenades.
Yeah.
She can make anything.
And the thing with her power is that she needs to understand the composition
True,
of those
but
things.
just study, girl. Like, I mean, dang.
Just read up. Go to class, man. If they were actually teaching you something in school like science and physics instead of how to beat people up, she'd probably be better off.
There's like Grape Coon, who's like, diaper Grape Coon, who's like, oh, here's my big scene where I'm gonna throw these at someone and stick them, and like, no one. I just feel like it's such a different experience than seeing Bakugo, whose power is blowing things up with touch.
Yeah.
It's not just that they have different powers. It's not even on the same like plane of power.
Right. I don't know.
What do you think, Ethan?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on My Hero Academia, like the quirk system?
I mean, I think it's probably not the best because you can be screwed just from birth.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the point, right? That was what I was going to say. Your birth determines your ability to your own ceiling.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's those dudes that could literally just turn into a slime, and it's like, okay,
you won.
Turn
Great
into
job.
slime.
Or
Yeah.
that girl that can change her appearance. That's like so insanely strong.
yeah, and basically copy power. A lot of class 1B people.
Powers. It's like insane.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, All for One and One for All are both the biggest assholes on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of ignore them in a discussion like this just because I feel like they're so silly.
Yeah.
Like, I punch things really hard. I'm Jotaro. I win.
Well, it's
think
not
it's
even
silly.
that. It's even worse. He can do that and more.
Right.
True. Right.
You know, like it's way worse. I think
It's way worse.
One of the coolest is Dark Shadow because he has that really big problem where.
Yeah, he has a drawback.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it's on both sides of the spectrum too. If it's too light, his shadow becomes a wimp. If it's too dark, he can't control it.
Oh, yeah, he does
So
have two sides of
two
drawback.
negatives. But if he finds the sweet spot, and as he gets better, he widens that sweet spot in the range.
He's so strong, too.
I actually kind of like the idea of All for One because in the system...
All for one.
All for One.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, in the system of birth-based quirks and powers, a person like him was inevitable. Someone would... maybe not his...
It's inevitable.
Aha! Thanos for y'all.
That's the other Grape Coon.
But yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like, in a system like that, I actually don't mind overpowered people because the whole random aspect, a person like All for One is inevitable, whether it be like a couple generations in or hundreds of years later. But at some point, someone's gonna come around that has this power to take and keep quirks and stack them, which is insane on its own, but he just also happened to have an evil affinity. Imagine him being the symbol of peace. Same thing.
I don't see how he could be because he
can't
steals
be.
them. He doesn't copy them.
He can redistribute them, which is crazy. So I don't mind his existence. I don't
just
know.
think it makes it uninteresting.
Yeah,
It's almost like because
Well,
there's no
that,
point in
but
the other
like-
characters because they're so strong.
right.
My ability is I can make floss come out of my fingertips.
Great
my
point.
My ability is that I can freeze time and stab people in the face.
Yeah.
Like there's that the blue fire guy is so
Dobby.
Dobby.
is he's got a cool voice, cool face.
Yeah, he's
really
his
cool.
character
His
design
power.
is awesome.
He's so insanely strong. Compare him to Tape Measure Coon over there that Ethan's talking about.
Seiko?
Mm-hmm.
God,
Yeah.
what is the point of him?
Well, they kind of mitigate that a little bit by saying that some heroes are better used in other situations. Rescue heroes, and then there's like...
Oh, yeah, that was
in,
cool. You're right.
Kind of a like stealthy kind of
Yeah, I mean, that's
reconnaissance
the
heroes.
only way, though, that they can make...
They did make it into a corner.
But you got to remember, these are people that have made it into the Hero Academy.
True.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Or
still
a Hero
so
Academy.
many out there that are just like, I have the ability to clean dishes with my eyes.
Yeah.
Wait, I think like you're right. There
Yeah.
are really useless powers.
Yeah, and I mean,
Wasn't his doctor like had a tail, like a stone tail or something stupid?
I don't know.
so I mean, what about power systems that the rules aren't even close to defined in your face initially? And I'm
You
thinking
mean- wait.
Attack on Titan.
What
There-
power system?
The Titan powers. All the abilities of the Titans.
That's hard for me because only a few people have that.
Right, but I think that like once I finally finished season 3, and I'm not gonna make any spoilers,
I have not.
but
I know I'm way behind.
But I'm saying that the rules do exist in the world, and then the
Yes.
power system itself drives the plot. As you learn someone gaining this power, and then as they try more things, or you see more things, and more people with that power, it's essentially, I don't know. Power systems that drive the plot are interesting because it never felt like an ass pull.
Yeah.
Because you're learning, oh, they can do this. But it's written in such a way that didn't feel so out of
No,
touch.
it actually feels the opposite. It feels like really refreshing to like see him go against another Titan who does know all the rules.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious that the rules already exist. It's just that we don't know them yet.
Right, and you just encounred it like, oh
And
my
they have
gosh.
such an advantage because of it. It's
Right.
so cool.
And the Beast Titan, like, the first time it talked,
Right.
it was like,
Yeah.
what? It's
like, oh, well.
They can do this? But it never
Right.
felt like, oh, okay, come on, you know? I don't know. It's just, I think more shows need to be trying that. Is that we don't exactly know everything despite them being in the world.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Lightning round.
Hit me.
Give me good, neutral, bad. Naruto.
Good.
Neutral.
Whoa.
It started-
Bleach.
Bad. Well, if we're including Ichigo. If
Yeah,
we're
we're
not,
including
it's
Ichigo,
neutral.
bad.
Like I said, exceptions to the rule. It shouldn't count against the power system.
If it's the main character, I think it counts. Because he impacts everyone he meets.
You know what? Yeah.
Lightning round.
I'm
Lightning round.
only
all in all-
talking powers.
All in all,
System.
Still
all in
bad.
all, good. I think it's interesting.
I'll say neutral then. Change my mind.
Good.
JoJo.
Bad.
Bad.
Well, you agree.
It's fun. It's fun to watch.
It's
but it's
fun.
Bad.
That's
It's
all it
fun,
is.
But it's bad.
It's fun and it looks cool as hell. That's all you
Yeah.
need.
Hunter x Hunter.
Good.
Great.
Exceptional.
Perfect.
Not allowed. Okay. Attack on Titan.
Good.
Neutral?
I think it's good.
Neutral.
Nothing-
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Good.
Good.
Actually.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Yu Yu Hakusho, I can't believe I forgot. Their power system is amazing too.
Right. Demonology and all that. Like
They explain everyone's powers
it's all
explicitly.
lore based too. It's all there in black and white.
Okay, how about something more like Baki, where the power system is more just
Ooh, bad.
really.
Interesting. I'll say neutral.
I don't know. I mean, I've only read the origin and watched the anime that's way later.
Yeah.
But both sides just say these people are insanely strong, these people are insanely weak, and I don't love that.
I agree.
Okay.
Especially the guy that can touch stuff and break it. Like, what the freak is that?
Sword Art Online.
Terrible.
Yeah. Bad. Reflex is all you got.
Okay, and I think this might be my last one. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Ooh.
Very good.
Good. And we didn't really touch on it, but like that is so based. I think things based in science. Would you count Dr. Stone to have a power system?
Ooh.
No,
It's basic weaponry.
it's
Your
just science.
your ability. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Science is technically a power system.
Don't agree.
What about Soul Eater?
Pretty bad.
Neutral. I can't
I
really.
think
get a-
neutral as well.
Yeah. I mean, there are requirements to be more powerful.
That's
You
what
need
I'm
100
saying,
souls
yeah.
and then a witch's soul.
And it is explained well,
Yeah.
but then some people
I
are
don't know if
insanely strong.
That's true.
It's like a merit-based power system almost.
Right. It's like, remember, because you have to like collect so many
but
to
that's
like
just
level
for
up.
that's just for the like
become a de-
weapon
like a
to
death
become
weapon, right?
Yeah. Right.
But that's also
It has nothing
that's,
to do with the Reaper.
Basically, your weapons is everything you have. Well,
I thought they were
Black
did it
Star
as
is
a
a little
team.
different, but Black Star's got some crazy stuff to him.
Who?
Black Star?
Oh.
Yeah, he's got
I'm
got
Black
he's
Star.
got some interesting stuff about his. Yeah.
I forgot Black Star existed.
My Hero.
I'm the best.
I'm gonna be the best. Just you watch, Tsubaki.
fool.
Fools.
The dub is so good.
My Hero. Good, bad, neutral.
I'm gonna say neutral.
And-
I don't think
yeah.
it's bad, and I think it can be good.
I think it's because it's lopsided. Some people are
Yeah, I
gods
agree.
and some people are trash.
I
and
think it's bad because of that reason.
that reason, and that's fair. I think that's
Because there's
good-
literally nothing you can do to be good if you're a slime boy.
that's a
Okay,
good
Dragon Ball
assumption.
Z.
Yeah.
DBZ.
Pre-Super Saiyan good.
Yeah, pre-Super Saiyan good. That's a
After Super Saiyan pretty bad.
After Super Saiyan 14, it gets bad.
Super Saiyan Rose.
Yeah, like was 12 or 13 good?
Super Saiyajin
Rose.
good.
Is that do they really call it Rose? The pink one?
Yeah, that's like the counterpart to blue
Oh
for
my
a villain.
gosh.
It's whatever. One that's interesting, Darker Than Black. That plays the.
I think Dark and Black starts great and they forget.
I agree.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a Rocky.
Yeah, it's the fact
Like-
that like I can use my powers, but then I have to do a thing after.
Well, they don't for the whole show though. They just
No,
forget.
that's not true. Hay is outside of it, but everyone else does do.
They have to
Okay.
do the things. What's it? Contracts? Is that what that's called? Yeah. So yeah, any more shows? Good, bad, neutral. You want everyone's opinion on?
I mean, there's infinite shows.
There's
so
infinite
it's gonna
shows.
Be really
You can
hard
hear all
to,
day.
like-
Yeah, one that I really wanted to ask y'all about was slipped my mind. Forget it.
Cool. All right.
I had it in the back of my head this
And
whole
we
time.
will. All right, moving on.
So all in all, power systems are why I got into anime in the first place. Honestly, I see stuff that I can't see in real life in anime, and a good power system for me can make or break a show. Frankly,
What about Durara,
In reference to what specifically?
the bartender?
not applicable.
Shizuo.
Shizuo kicks really hard.
He does everything really
Not
hard.
Why
applicable.
doesn't anybody else do that?
I don't know.
And that's a bad power system.
I like that Izaya is able to still counteract it because he's so fast.
Yeah. So power
Yeah,
systems.
guys.
Hell yeah.
That
That's
was
a good
cool.
discussion. Good discussion.
That was. I'm surprised we talked so long about it.
I like the trivia in the beginning, especially because I am the undisputed champion of
'Cause
the
you won.
world.
Do you have one?
Oh no, I'll have my comeback story. All good stories have a comeback story.
Do you have a recommendation?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head.
What
Yeah,
about like
can I throw it-
watching
can I
watch
throw
the
a-
Cell Saga or something?
Can
I don't know.
Can I throw a suggestion out?
You can.
Can we make them watch Maid-sama?
I was thinking.
Whoa,
that,
what's
actually.
Maid Sama?
You'll have to find out.
That sounds like something I wouldn't be into.
I know. That's what I'm. No one saw the. You said that. You
That's
can
what I
make
said.
put anything
That's
at the
what-
top
that's
of my
what I said, yeah.
recommendations.
That's true.
You said within reason. I thought.
We can make them watch.
I
Vinland
said
Saga.
within reason, as in number of episodes.
You can
Yeah,
watch
let's
Vinland
do
Saga.
Vinland Saga
Yeah.
as a traceum.
People are talking about it being anime of the year.
All right, I'll get
right.
back to you.
Yeah.
I guess that's the homework for the
There you
substitute
go.
teacher today.
Beep boop. Go do your work.
Okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
thank you so much for coming, Patrick.
Thank
it's
you for
always
having
a
me.
pleasure.
Yeah, anytime.
You're our
Come
favorite
anytime.
guest and our only guest thus far.
All right.
So
I'll
it's pretty
keep
easy
that
to be
title.
the favorite. Guys, if you liked this episode, you can find our other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and many more.
Give us 5 stars and a review if you liked it. Maybe just a review if you felt differently. 5 stars
Wait,
still.
Yeah,
5 stars
actually,
still.
actually, if you didn't like it, give 5 stars. Like,
Yeah.
It takes 1 second.
But like click angrily. Like just click. Oh,
Yeah,
this
that'll
is
show
bad.
us.
Oh,
Ugh.
5
Yeah,
stars.
ouch.
We can feel it actually through Apple.
You'll
If
wake
you-
me up in the middle of the night.
if you don't like this podcast, the best way to get back at them, give 5 stars. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a yeah.
Or,
we'll-
or like watch all of our YouTube videos over and over again.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that would be
Oh.
so bad.
I would like to
man, that would
plug.
really hurt.
I would like to plug y'all's Instagram,
Yeah.
which it's at,
Nope. Weebology.podcast.
but it's at
Weebology.podcast.
Weebology.podcast, which is actually kind of blowing up. They got almost 1,000
Yeah.
likes on one of their posts.
You can call it meme curation plus stuff we're doing right now. We do
Yeah.
live, stories of the day that we're animes we're watching in the moment. You can keep up with us keeping up and just get a little chuckle or two.
And you know what's crazy? If you scroll down, I actually sent them a JoJo meme called "When You Failed the Google CAPTCHA," and it got like 0 likes. So
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand
But-
Instagram.
I didn't realize robots could be so bitter, Pat.
I'm bitter. It was about robots.
All right, we're going to have to turn down his emotion.
we'll do that.
Actually, it doesn't matter.
Sorry.
Whoa.
Well, again, thank y'all so much. And I'm Ricky.
And I'm Ethan.
And this has been Weebology.
Peace.
Deuces.
Deuces.
Enthusiastically.